Hello, this week on Thursday we are looking at the 10th Commandment. We're looking at this in our series in our Zoom Bible studies, and we're looking at the 10th Commandment on Thursday when we look at our Bible study and the details of how to log in, as you will see coming up. But we're looking at Exodus chapter 20 verse 17 of the 10th Commandment, and it reads as follows: "You shall not covet your neighbour's house, you shall not covet your neighbour's wife, or his male servant, or his female servant, or his ox, his donkey, or anything that is your neighbour's." And we have to consider, why is this commandment in the 10 Commandments? Why is it important? If we think about this word covet, we find two passages which use this word. In Exodus chapter 20 verse 17, as we've read, but also in Deuteronomy 5 verse 21. And both meanings of this word is found in the Hebrew. Both mean to lust after or go after with great desire. And since the commandments are given as "you shall not," the desire in this case is for something that is not the property of a desirer and not rightfully housed to long after. In this commandment, the Israelites are told not to lust after their neighbour's possessions, houses, land, oxes or donkey, or people in his life, servants or wives, both male and female. The Israelites were not to desire or to long for or set their hearts on anything that belonged to anyone else. Of course, we might not have oxes or donkeys, I don't think, but we do have things that we might want to lust after. People's cars, people's computers, people's watches, all sorts of things, or clothes people might want to desire. And several of the commandments prohibit certain actions such as murder or theft. This goes even further because it's matters of the heart, matters of the inner person, the heart and the mind. In James chapter 1 verse 15, we're told the inner person is where sin originates. And coveting is a forerunner of all manner of sin, among them theft, burglary, and embezzlement. As its root, coveting is the result of envy. A sin, once it takes root in our hearts, leads to worse sins. Jesus reiterated this very thought in the Sermon on the Mount, when he said that lust in the heart is every bit as sinful as committing adultery. What our intentions in our hearts and our minds are do indicate where we are with the Lord, what our priorities are. And envy goes beyond casting a longing glance at a brand new car we might see in a neighbour's driveway. But if we dwell upon it, envy of the neighbour's possessions can turn into feelings of resentment and hatred of the neighbour himself. This can turn into questioning God and saying, why can't I have that lovely watch, that lovely necklace, that lovely car or house or holidays? Don't you love me, Lord, to give me what I want too? She's got that, I want that too. And sometimes we do it in very subtle ways as well. We sometimes refer to posh people who have lots of nice things that we perceive. And ultimately, we're critical and jealous of their wealth, and that's why we call them posh or rich or, fancy folk. And there's a phrase that I came across, and it's called ceiling on desires. We may see something we like, but do we really need it? Do we really want it? Is it beneficial to us? After all, you may get a brand new car or a nearly new car, but as soon as you drive it away, a few thousand suddenly come off the value of that car, and one wee scratch or knock, accidental or deliberate by yourself or others, means that car is not really worth anything anymore. God's reasons for condemning covetousness are very good reasons. At the very core, envy is love of self and our own identity. Envious, selfish people are unhappy and very discontented. A society built on the people and such natures is a very weak one, because envious malcontents, as stated before, will cause all sorts of problems and they are not beneficial to the kingdom, or indeed God's kingdom. They're more likely to commit crimes against each other, further weakening the societal structure. Of course, there's nothing wrong with saying, oh, so-and-so's got a brand new dining table. I'm looking for a dining table. This is something that I could do, I could think about. But it's the actual intention of the heart and the mind that we're looking at. And you may say, well, this is an Old Testament command. People say it's my money, or lots of people get what they want based on the tick, on the credit cards, or on hire purchase. Again, the idea of ceiling on desires. Is it important? Do we really need it? But the New Testament says that it is important too. Colossians 3 verse 5 says that coveting is a form of idolatry, a sin which God detests. And in the end, envy and coveting are Satan's tools to distract us from pursuing the only thing that ever make us happy and content, God himself. God's word tells us that godliness of contentment is great gain, and we should be content with the basics in life. We find it in 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 6 to 8. Because true contentment is not attained by things, but by a personal relationship with God through Jesus Christ. We know, and we've heard stories of people who have won the lottery or inherited money, and they have lots and lots of things in their life. And the more things they have, the more problems they seem to have. But looking at our relationships with each other, our family, our friends, those in our churches, those that we desire to be saved and come into God's kingdom, and ultimately a relationship with Jesus is more important. And looking at that relationship, we find what is worthy, what is true, what is satisfying and durable, and we find the unsearchable riches of God's grace. Something for us to think about as we go into a Bible study on Thursday. If you're having difficulty connecting, do let me know, and we shall try and make you all set up for Thursday. And hopefully, if you're not able to join us, it gives you a wee bit of thought as to what that 10th commandment actually means. It builds on that 7th commandment, thou shalt not steal, to the implications of it, and to the heart and mind that we have ourselves. I look forward to seeing you at some point.